going on, guys? It's me, Phil, back again with Cap Swag for another product review video. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at some more fitted cap pins. This collection is the New York City cap pin collection. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so this whole collection is inspired completely by New York City. This is not all of the pins that we have for New York because there's so many that I couldn't fit them all in one video. So I just kind of picked the top ones that I like the best and I'm going to show them to you, and then if you're interested you could check out the site capswag.com for the rest. But let's get into the first one, and I'm really excited to show these, so let's go. So the first pin I'm showing you is this guy right here. It's a New York City coin, no fare token. This is basically like a metro token. So for those of you that know, you already know this, but for those of you that don't know, back in the day before the metro like cards, the like those little swipers that you've seen, it was actually coins that you used to get onto the subway. So this is one of those. It's an enamel pin, so we got a gold plating background. It's brown, black, and metallic gold we got here. If we look at the back, we got a single pin, like a single closure on there, and it's all metallic gold with the Broader Market logo embossed in the back. Size is probably about an inch, a little bit bigger than a quarter. If you check the site, we have comparisons where we shot it right next to a quarter, so you have like an item that you know the size of, so you have an idea of how big it is. But yeah, it's not too huge, about an inch I'd say. So this has been this one. Let's get into the next one. So when we were designing this collection, we really wanted to focus on iconic New York imagery and things that really spoke to the culture that, people who lived in New York, they'll identify with, and it won't come off as, too cheesy or whatever. I was really happy about this one. This is the We Are Happy to Serve You. It's like a Greek pattern design coffee cup. These coffee cups, if you've ever been to New York, you've ever been to a corner store or a bodega in New York, these are like, you see them everywhere. Like, this is like the most default cup that people serve coffee in at the corner stores, at the bodegas. So it's basically like a blue cup. It's got a white lid and it's got some detail on there. It says "We are happy to serve," and then on the cup itself is kind of like a Greek style like ornamentation. And I'm not sure, I don't really know the history of why that is, but that's literally what you see in most of the places that serve coffee that fit that vibe, right? So it is an enamel pin, of course, about an inch in size, I'd say. On the back here, we got black, and we still have the Broader Market logo embossed there as well, with a silver closure, single closure on this as well. This has been the coffee cup. Up next is something cool. Let's see. Alright, so since we're already talking about coffee in the last one, I'm going to continue with the theme of beverages. So here we got the Nutcracker pin. So before, my friends who don't know what this is get carried away, no, this isn't like the Nutcracker, like the ballet. This is a Nutcracker drink. Nutcrackers are basically like street liquor beverages in New York City. And I'm not sure, they probably do them in other cities, and other cities have different names for them, but in New York they're called Nutcrackers. Not sure why that is. What it basically is, it's some kind of like fruit punch mixed with some kind of hard liquor, and it's typically served and sold in these kind of plastic bottles. They don't always have the orange tops. They come in different varieties, but typically it's like in a plastic bottle. It's kind of like a side hustle for a lot of people. So we got that there. You see the liquid in there. It says Nutcracker. It got an orange top. This is an enamel pin. Black background over here with a single silver enclosure. That's the Nutcracker pin. I hope people relate to this. Some people really vibe with this, I think, and some people might just go over their heads, but yeah. Nutcracker pin. Up next, another beverage. Let's see. Alright, so if you were a kid and you grew up in the city, you know what this is. This is a quarter water. A quarter water is basically exactly what it is. It was like a little like bottle of water thing that would cost $0.25. They usually came in different colorful like plastic containers, and they were normally shaped like this. Another thing that's really common to people that grew up in cities is something called referred to as a hood picnic. Hood picnic would basically be for $1. You would buy yourself, whatever you needed from the corner store. You get a quarter water and then maybe like some candy or some snacks or something like that. We see here the quarter water, it's in pink. It's got that plastic top, the 25-cent logo on the front there. We got a black background and a single closure on the back for the pin. Size is basically right around like 1 inch high. So pretty decent size there. Now we're gonna move away from the drinks. We're gonna start moving into food items. Iconic food that relates to New York City. Let's get into it. All right, so I mean, when you think New York, what's the first food item that comes to your mind? It's probably, it could be one of two things, maybe a hot dog, or for me, pizza, right? So pizza's like, New York pizza, dollar slices, very iconic. So we got the pizza pin, pretty straightforward. It's a pepperoni pizza. I know that cheese is probably the staple in New York, but pepperoni just looks cool, so we just did pepperoni. It's got like oozing cheese on there. It's got the metallic gold with the red and the yellow. If we look on the back, metallic gold backing with a single closure. Berlin Mart embossed there. It's about 1 inch wide. I'd say probably maybe about ½ inch high. Nice detail on this. I love the dripping edges. I think it adds a little bit more life to the pins. I feel like when you think food, it's either a hot dog or a piece of pizza. So we got the pizza here. Very cool add-on to anybody. And it doesn't have to be for New York too. You could also, different cities have different pizzas, but this one's pretty cool. All right, so this has been the pizza. Next up, we got something else, maybe not as appetizing, but still a food item. Let's get into it. All right, so up next, we got the rotten apple. Ugh, I know it's not that appetizing, right? We just went from pizza to this, but you think about New York City, the Big Apple, they also call it the rotten apple because it's a city at the end of the day, it's not perfect. So we kind of took some inspiration from that. We found a direction to go with when we thought of an apple, and we thought, well, what if we just did an apple that's just nasty and just eaten and just rotting? So that's what we have here. You see it has kind of a dark coloring everywhere, honestly, from the middle of it to the actual outer portion to the leaf there. Black on the back there, it is enamel, of course, embedded. We have that Berlin Mart logo, and we have the single silver closure, about 1 inch high, maybe a little bit more, but pretty cool piece. I really like the vibe. It has a really grungy look. I think New York is pretty associated with that. And speaking of grungy looks, we got a couple of special furry critters coming up next. All right, so up first we got our flying friends, the Pigeon. Look, anybody that's ever visited New York City, or I feel like anyone that's ever seen a movie that was based in New York City, you know that pigeons are absolutely everywhere when it comes to New York. And I've seen some pretty huge pigeons when I went. They're all over the place, man. So really an iconic piece of imagery that we really wanted to include. So we have a flying pigeon here. It's enamel, gray, black, pretty much what you'd expect. It's a pretty big pin. It's not huge. I'd say it's probably 1 3/4 inches, something like that. On the back here, we have black background. We also have the Berlin Mart logo embossed there and a single silver closure. So this has been the Pigeon pin. Up next, the last pin, another furry critter, and you can probably guess what it's gonna be. I'll see if you actually do guess it, all right? So coming up next, I'm not gonna tell you, but here it is. All right, so what did you guess? On 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a rat. Obviously, right? Furry critter, New York City, it's gonna be a rat.
Live your best life. Okay.
Pretty crazy. The rats in New York City, it's a whole different conversation. But here we got this kind of cartoon looking rat. It's kind of dingy looking. It's kind of looks disheveled. that's exactly what we wanted to accomplish with this pin, because you're not gonna have like a ratatouille rat, you know, walking around cooking food and whatnot, right? It's gonna be kind of like a rat that looks like this when you think of cartoon rat in New York City. So it's enamel, gray, you got kind of like darkish yellow eyes, black details, black accents. The background is solid black. You have that Broad Market logo embedded, and then you have a single silver closure. So once again, this is the rat pin, fitted cap pin. As far as the size, I'd say about 1.25 inches or so high, something like that. All right guys, so this has been the New York City inspired fitted cap pins. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did enjoy this video, please leave us a like. Once again, these are all available for sale right now at capswag.com, and we are doing a 5 for 20 deal, so you get 5 pins for $20, not including tax or shipping. Make sure you leave us a comment. Let us know what kind of pins you want to see in the future, or any other suggestions that you might have. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell notification so you always find out when we're posting new videos. And make sure you follow us on Instagram. It's @CapswagUSA. We post all of the newest stuff there first. So when we're designing new pins, when we're coming up with new products, it goes there before it goes anywhere else. So make sure if you're interested in that, you give us a follow. Guys, it's been real. Can't wait to see you in the next one. I will see you in the next one shortly. So please stay tuned. Have a good one.